The glass roads of Burkina Faso are far more than simple pathways. They are a living revolution, shining with purpose and pride. For generations, the world mocked Africa, saying we could never build, never innovate, never rise beyond dust and despair. They claimed our roads would always stay cracked and poor. But now, under the blazing African sun, these glowing glass roads prove the doubters wrong. They show that Africa can imagine, design, and create with its own brilliance. Each piece of glass laid into the earth is not just a material, but a message, a declaration of courage, dignity, and faith in ourselves. When sunlight hits their surface, it's more than a shimmer. It's a statement to the world: Africa is awake. The reflection stretches across the horizon like a promise that this continent is no longer silent, no longer weak, no longer behind. These are not ordinary roads. They are mirrors of pride, symbols of strength, and proof that our creativity is alive and powerful. Where dust once rose, hope now shines. The roads that once carried sorrow now carry pride. They aren't only meant for cars or travelers, they are monuments to freedom. They speak louder than speeches, whispering to every nation, Africa will never bow again. These roads represent more than construction. They mark the beginning of a new age. The story of Africa is being rewritten, not by outsiders, but by our own hands. Built entirely by the people of Burkina Faso, these roads stand as a reminder that innovation and independence can grow from within. No loans, no foreign masters, only vision, determination, and unity. Like torches burning in the night, these glass highways guide all of Africa toward a brighter tomorrow. They are not only the pride of Burkina Faso, they belong to the whole continent. For centuries, our story was scarred by colonialism. Strangers came and took our gold, our land, our freedom. They left us railways and roads, but those were never for us. They were routes of extraction and exploitation. For too long, we were told we could not stand without foreign help. We walked the paths of humiliation, believing the lie that progress could only come from outside. But the glass roads of Burkina Faso shatter those old chains. They declare a new truth, that we will no longer depend on the IMF, the World Bank, or the approval of others. We build for ourselves, by ourselves. Every footstep on these radiant roads crushes the remnants of colonial control. Each glass panel is a blow against history's injustice. These are not roads of division. They are roads of unity. They connect villages to cities, people to people, dreams to destiny. Where once there were borders drawn to separate us, now there are bridges of light. Once we bowed our heads, today we walk tall. The glass reflects not slavery but sovereignty, not despair but dignity. These roads declare that Africa is free, proud, and unbreakable. The greatest power of these roads is not in their beauty, but in their message. They speak directly to every African child. You are not weak. You are not trapped by history. You are the builder of tomorrow. These roads are lessons written in light, reminding us that our ancestors fought with spears, but we now fight with knowledge. This glass is more than material. It's a mirror of victory. We no longer seek permission to dream. We no longer wait for aid to act. Africa is no longer bound by foreign hands. We walk on our own roads. We walk free. The glass highways of Burkina Faso are not just feats of engineering. They are symbols of unity. For too long, the continent was divided into small, powerless states, a legacy of colonial design. Those divisions weakened us, silenced us, and made us depend on others. But these luminous roads change that. They connect rather than separate, carrying trade, ideas, and friendship across lands once broken by artificial borders. From the dry deserts to the deep forests, from Ouagadougou to Bobo-Dioulasso, the roads glow like veins of light running through the body of Africa, giving it life and strength. True sovereignty means ruling ourselves, and these roads are proof that we can. They were built not from borrowed blueprints, but from our own vision and labor. They proclaim that Africa will never again bow to humiliation. We no longer chase borrowed dreams. We now live our own. Innovation is our tool, unity our armor, and together they make us unstoppable. The real magic of these glass roads lies not in how they look, but in what they represent. They declare that Africa is not catching up. Africa is leading. They show the world that we can design the future using our own ideas and imagination. They remind us that our creativity, discipline, and unity are enough. When we stand together, no colonizer, no oppressor, no outside force can ever break us again. The glass roads belong to tomorrow, and tomorrow belongs to the youth. Each shining tile is a reminder that the destiny of this continent lies in the hands of its young men and women. For generations, they were told that poverty and hopelessness were their inheritance. But these roads tell a new story. You are heirs of greatness, of courage, and of freedom. The glass roads call out to Africa's youth like a voice from the horizon. They shine not just to guide feet, but to awaken minds. They whisper, "Rise with courage, study with passion, and build with pride." They remind every young African that knowledge is a weapon more powerful than any sword, and unity is a shield stronger than any wall. Once the colonizers feared the spears of our ancestors. Today they fear something even greater, the awakening of young African minds. These glittering roads are like classrooms made of light, teaching that no dream is too large, no vision too distant. They say to the young, "You are not too small to change the world. You are the builders, the defenders, and the leaders of a new dawn. If the youth stand tall, Africa will rise forever." These roads carry that promise in every reflection. They declare that the future is not built on debt or domination, but on innovation, self-respect, and freedom. They are not simply pieces of glass. They are the inheritance of a nation that refused to kneel. They are gifts born of endurance, pride, and the unyielding will of a people who chose light over submission. Now the torch passes to the next generation. It is their duty to protect these roads, not just the surface that shines, but the meaning beneath it. The message is clear. Walk proudly, for you are the free children of a free Africa. The glass roads are not merely for travel. They are monuments to the end of humiliation. For centuries, foreign powers laughed at Africa, declaring us too poor, too weak, too dependent to chart our own path. But these radiant roads silence that mockery. They prove that we are not prisoners of history. We are the architects of tomorrow. When the world looks at these roads, it sees more than Burkina Faso. It sees the reawakening of an entire continent. The gleaming surfaces reflect the spirit of nations that refuse to kneel, refuse to beg, and refuse to surrender. These roads are both a warning and a promise. A warning to those who once exploited Africa's riches, and a promise to the oppressed that liberation is within reach. Each shimmering path carries the weight of our past and the hope of our future. They tell the story of a people who will never again be silenced or enslaved. This new chapter is not only about building infrastructure, it is about rebuilding identity. It is about walking forward with dignity, showing the world that Africa is no longer a forgotten shadow at the edge of empires. Africa is light, wisdom, and resilience. The humiliation of the past is buried beneath the glow of these roads. Pride burns brighter than ever. Freedom is no longer a dream. It is a living reality. With every ray of sun that dances across the glass, Africa takes another step into the future, proud, strong, and unbreakable. For too long, we were told that progress must come from outside, that we must stretch out our hands for aid, bend our knees for loans, and surrender our dignity for survival. But these luminous roads shout a different truth. Those days are over. The time of dependency has ended. The era of dignity has begun. This movement is not only about construction, it is about resurrection. Every sheet of glass represents the rebirth of confidence, the reclaiming of pride. We no longer wait for permission to act. We no longer ask others to define our worth. We stand on our own soil, guided by our own light. Each glowing road is like a pulse running through the heart of Africa, proving that the continent is alive. For centuries, the outside world portrayed Africa as silent, broken, or helpless. But now the roads shine as veins of energy, carrying the heartbeat of strength. They declare Africa is awake. Africa is not only surviving, Africa is rising, and this rise is unstoppable. No drought, no sanction, no force can dim this brilliance. Every reflection of light off the glass is a declaration that our spirit cannot be broken. These roads do not merely lead to cities, they lead to destiny. The power of the glass roads does not rest in the technology itself, but in the idea they carry, that Africa has claimed its right to design its own future. We no longer follow paths written by others. We carve our own. We no longer accept debt as destiny. We invest in our own dreams. The roads are like a torch lifted high, guiding not only Burkina Faso, but all of Africa toward unity and pride. They speak to the world in one unshakable voice. Africa will not kneel. Africa will not beg. Africa will not surrender. We are no longer defined by what was taken from us. but by what we are creating with our own hands. These roads are both warning and promise. Warning to those who once enslaved us and promise to those still struggling for freedom. They remind the oppressed everywhere that liberation begins in the mind. When a people believe in their own power, no empire can chain them again. Africa's spirit is fearless, its heart alive, its will unbreakable. The world may watch, but it cannot stop what has begun. This is not just a story of Burkina Faso. It is the story of an entire continent reborn. The glass roads are the veins of a new civilization, pumping life, pride, and determination into every corner of Africa. They are symbols of what happens when a nation chooses hope over despair and unity over division. They are proof that true progress begins when we trust our own strength. And as they stretch across the land, they light up the promise that this generation, the generation of builders, thinkers, and dreamers, will carry Africa to heights it has never known before. The sun will rise again tomorrow, and when its rays touch the glass roads, the world will see them shimmer like rivers of freedom. Every glimmer will whisper the same truth, that the time of submission has ended and the time of African pride has begun. The roads of glass are not the end of the journey. They are the beginning, the foundation of a story still being written by the hands of those who refuse to give up. They remind us that freedom is not given. It is built, one piece, one vision, one generation at a time. Africa is no longer waiting for rescue. Africa is leading its own renaissance. The roads stand as witnesses to that transformation, glowing with the light of self-belief. And as long as these roads shine, the world will know. The heart of Africa beats stronger than ever, unbroken, undying, and unstoppable.